Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Jenkinson here and I'm going to be doing the assembly today. So the assembly is about bullying, but before we get on to that, I'm going to play you a piece of music. Now you're getting quite used to doing this now, so you will recognise what I'm going to ask you to do to start, which is to listen to the music, and it's called Zadok the Priest. And it's the Coronation Anthem by George Handel, who is a German composer. Now, I'm going to share the facts with you first today because I think it's important we understand what this music was written for. It was written for the coronation of King George II, and it's been used for every coronation since. Now, a coronation is when the king or queen is crowned. It's the ceremony that they go through when the crown is put on their head and they are announced as the king or queen. So it was first used for King George II, and it was last used when Queen Elizabeth II, our queen, was coronated. So there are in this music some very powerful words and phrases, and it asks you to listen out for them. It says the word rejoice and God save the king, and it also builds up the piece of music, and it builds up in volume but also with the amount of instruments that are playing, so more and more join in. So I'm also going to give you a little bit of help today because I'm going to play you the music with a video, and the video will be of an orchestra playing, so you will be able to see the music building as well as hearing the music building. So I'm just going to share again so that I can make sure I put the sound in for you. And the first bit we're going to listen to is to watch out for the building and to listen out for the building of the music. Okay, so you will have hopefully heard the music building but also seen it building with the different instruments. Now I'm going to share again, and this time I'm going to move the music along so that you can hear some of those powerful words and phrases. So I heard rejoice, God save the king, long live the king. Some of those powerful words and phrases that we could hear. So I'm going to share a different piece of music with you now. Oh, sorry, the same piece of music but a different video. And this time the video is actually showing us part of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, our Queen. Now, it was quite a long time ago, so it is in black and white, and technology wasn't as good in those days, so it isn't as clear as a video we would watch today, but we can see some of the Okay, so from that point the Queen then went on to be crowned Queen Elizabeth II. Now, if I go back to the PowerPoint for today, we can see that Baroque, which is the kind of music this is, means highly decorated. Okay, and if we look at the history section, we can see that this piece of music was written here. It was written in 1727, so a long time ago. Zadok the Priest, the coronation anthem, and it was composed by George Handel in 1727 in Germany, and it was for an orchestra and a choral playing. So the choral is the choir, the voices of the people that were singing, and the orchestra is the instruments. Okay, so remember that tune, Zadok the Priest, and it was the coronation anthem. And when the next king or queen comes to the throne, then we will hear that tune played in a coronation again. Okay, now our assembly today is thinking about bullying. What is bullying? Well, we have in school a way of describing what bullying is, and it's when one person or a group of people do something on purpose or intentionally, which means on purpose, that hurts another person or another group of people. And this can be done in lots of ways. It could be physical, which includes actually hitting and things like that, or emotional, which are the things that we say to upset people. But the important thing with bullying is that these things happen over and over again. It's repeated. Oops. Repeated. And that's this important word here. And it's repeated over time, so it happens over and over again. And there's a good way to help us remember that, and it's using this word here, stop. And if we can remember that stop helps us to understand what bullying is, then we can help use these letters to remember these words: several, several, times, on, purpose, several times on purpose. S-T-O-P, several times on purpose, because some people get a little bit confused as to what bullying is. And we'll come to that in a little while. So bullying can take place in lots of different ways. It can be something that somebody says that is unkind. Being unkind, that's an emotional kind of bullying. It can be verbal, and that's when we do things like name calling. That's not very nice, is it? It can be physical, which is hitting and kicking. It can be racial, which are comments linked to somebody's culture or religion or their skin colour. Now, at this point, teachers or teaching assistants might want to pause the recording and talk about these in a little more detail. And depending if you're on in Key Stage 1 or Key Stage 2, might depend on how much time you spend on each one. Because this second page, there are other ways as well. There are sexual. There's homophobic, so using the word gay. There's cyberbullying. There's lots of technology around today, and some people are unkind in the messages that they send to people on their Xboxes or on their PlayStations or on their phones, and that can also be bullying if it happens several times on purpose. And some people, bullying can also happen because somebody is disabled or has a disability, and that can make people feel very sad. That's very unkind. So all of these things can turn into bullying if they happen several times on purpose. Now, bullying isn't falling out with a friend. It isn't one-off name calling, and it isn't anything that's just one-off. It isn't arguing over a game or some equipment, and it isn't hitting or kicking because of a fallout. It's something that happens over and over again, and I want you to remember that word stop several times on purpose. Okay, now it is important when we feel that we have fallen out with our friends that we know what to do to help to sort it out and to solve it. So what should you do if you have a fallout with a friend? Now, teachers and TAs might want to pause the video here, the recording here, and talk about this. What should you do if you fall out with a friend? Have a think about that. Right, now if you fall out with a friend, the best way, I think, to solve that is to talk to them. To talk to them, and quite often, if you know you've done something wrong, to say that really important word, sorry. Sorry is a really powerful word, and when you know you've done something wrong, it's really important to use it to put things right. Now, we can also say sorry if we did something by accident. Sometimes we might bump into somebody as we're walking along. We didn't mean to do it, but it's still important that we say sorry and that we put it right. Sometimes, when it used to be busier in town, if I bumped into somebody, I would just say, oh, I'm very sorry, and that makes it better. Okay. Now, in school, we sometimes use 3 questions. And if you've had a fallout with a friend, an adult might get you both together and might ask you these questions. And these questions are to help you solve the problem that you're having. And the first question is, what happened? Because it's really important that the adult understands what you've fallen out about. So it's really important here that you tell the truth and that you're honest, because sometimes we do things that we didn't mean to do and we are sorry about it. So we need to put it right. So it's really important to be honest about what we've done. And then the adult might say to you, how has that made you feel? Now, if somebody's done something to you that isn't very kind, it might make you feel sad or upset. With some people, it might make them mad or angry. Okay, so again, it's really important to think about your feelings when you're asked that question. And then the third question is, what should happen next? And this is the one where earlier I was saying, if you know you've done something wrong, there's a really good word we can use to help to put it right and to help to mend things. So we can say sorry. We can say, I'm sorry, okay, to the person that we've upset, right? Now, many older children in school, if you're in year 5 or year 6, you might be able to solve your own friendship fallouts. Because as you get older, you get used to doing it. But even with older children, sometimes you might need the help of an adult. And when you're younger, in year 1 or 2, or even year 3, then you might need a little bit more help, okay? But as you get older and you develop your friendships, then this is something that you need to work on too. Working on saying sorry and sorting things out when you have the fallouts that you sometimes have. Okay. What should you do if you feel you are being bullied? Okay. Well, I want you to think about doing these 4 things. So, first of all, if somebody is unkind to you, and it might be the first time, then you might just try to ignore it if you can, okay? But if that person does it again, then you need to tell them to stop. So you can say, stop, I don't like that. Okay. Or, will you stop doing that, please? I don't like it. So there are different ways of saying it, but you need to tell the other person to stop. If they do it again, then you need to say to them that if they don't stop, you will tell an adult. So you might say, if you don't stop, I'm going to go and tell an adult that you're doing this. Or you might say, I've asked you to stop before and you haven't, so please stop now or I'm going to tell an adult. Okay, and then if it happens again, you need to tell an adult. So you've given somebody a few chances to stop there, haven't you? And they haven't stopped. So if it continues, that means it's happening several times. It's happening a few times. That's what several means. And this person is doing it on purpose because you've asked them to stop and they've done it again. Okay. You've warned them that you're going to tell an adult and they've done it again. So it sounds to me like at this point they might be doing this on purpose. So this is the point where you need to tell an adult. Okay. So stop, as we can see down here, now has 2 meanings. So the first meaning is to help us remember what bullying is several times on purpose. And the second meaning is start telling other people. So if somebody is doing something to you and it's happened several times on purpose, it is time to start telling other people. Now, we have something in school that we call the bystander code. And some of you, if you've been in a bullying assembly before, might remember this because you might have been told it before. The bystander code, what do you think it may say? Listen to the words bystander. Bystander. It's a bit like standing by. What do you think that might mean? Teachers and teaching assistants, you might want to pause and see what the children think about this. Okay, right, now being a bystander, means that while someone is being unkind or bullying, you're standing and doing nothing. So you're there while it's happening. And when somebody is doing something that's unkind, we know it's not right. So if you're standing whilst another child is being unkind to somebody and you're not doing anything about it, then you are a bystander. And being a bystander is not acceptable because you could do something about this. You could say to the child who's been unkind, that's not very kind. I don't think you should do that. Okay. You could, if you see it happening again, you could warn them. You could follow the system that we talked about and say, if I see you doing that again to whoever it is they're doing it to, I'm going to tell an adult. And then if they do it again, you could tell an adult. If you think that somebody is being bullied, then you need to tell an adult. Okay? Your silence makes you, in part, this bit says down here, responsible for what happens to the victim of bullying. So don't stand and be silent. Don't be a bystander. Okay, do something about it. This is how we stop people being unkind, isn't it? By letting others and adults know so that they can sort it out and deal with it. Okay? Right. Now we use these things in school to remind us to be kind. We use the buckets of kindness. Remember, we feel happy and good if our bucket is full, but we feel sad and lonely when our buckets are empty. And remember that somebody who is unkind is a bucket dipper. And at Gladstone Road, we aim for everybody to be a bucket filler. We want people to be kind and respectful in the things they do and say towards others, so that we're filling buckets. We don't want to be emptying buckets. Our school rules also help us because our school rules say that we are polite and well-mannered, and we are kind and caring to people. Okay, so if we're following our school rules, we should be being kind. So these are to help us to remember, so that hopefully we don't get people being unkind and we don't get bullying. Now, what is your role in school? Well, it is everybody's job to help to make our school a safe, secure and caring place to be. So secure means that people feel safe. Okay, and it's everybody's job to do that, because if everybody is being kind and caring, then our school will feel safe, secure and caring. It's also everybody's job, if they think something is happening that isn't right, to tell a member of staff or a parent or carer. So if you think you're being bullied, it's really important to say. So a member of staff or a parent or carer at home that you're being bullied. It's also your role to try to stop others being bullied by telling a member of staff or a parent or carer, because it's important to look after each other. It's your job at school to follow the bystander code. So don't stand in silence if you know that somebody's doing something unkind to somebody else. You can do something about it. And it's also your job to be a bucket filler and not a bucket dipper. Okay. So I want you to remember these things. I want you to remember that bullying is when somebody does something unkind several times on purpose. Remember, we can use the word stop to help us remember. S-T-O-P, several times on purpose. And stop also means start telling other people. So remember, if someone does something to you several times on purpose, it is time to start telling other people. And if we all work together in school, we can prevent bullying from happening. We can alert people, we can alert adults to help before it gets to the stage where it is bullying. Okay, so we can prevent it. But if we are following our school rules and being bucket fillers, that will also prevent bullying from happening. So there's some very, very important messages in the assembly today. It's everybody's job. It's everybody's role and job in school to help to stop this happening. So remember, several times on purpose, start telling other people. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. I repeated myself quite a lot in that assembly because it's really important that we remember those phrases to help us remember about bullying. So keep them in your mind so that you can use them to help you and other children. So I'm going to say bye now. I hope you enjoyed the assembly and the music. Remember the music that we listened to today for the coronation, okay, and the important messages about bullying. So I'm going to say bye now, and I will see you all around school and outside at playtimes and lunch times. Okay, bye for now.